So, I got a pretty cool email today, and that email tells me that Red Sonja is on the way. And it got me thinking, what all do I currently have on pre-order that's on the way? This is easily a thing of the, quote, modern collecting world. I'll put it that way. It really is. It's just an absolute normalcy now that we do pre-orders, right? And sometimes these are good, and sometimes they're a real pain. Sometimes we put something on pre-order and we wait forever. And then other times we put something on pre-order and before we know it, it's like it's here. Well, that being said, I was curious, so I wanted to look up and talk about all the things that I currently have on the way. Things that I don't have physically, but they've either already been mailed or they're on pre-order and they're still being processed. And that's what I want to do. So we're going to start with Red Sonja. So here we are over here on Big Bad Toy Store, and this is currently the Red Sonja that I just got notice. I got the email literally today. I was at work, and the email went off, and I was like, what's that? Big Bad, I'll have to check that out. And then on my first break, I checked it out, and bam, it said, Red Sonja, we're getting it, and we are beginning to process pre-orders. You will be processed, yada, yada, yada. And I said, holy shit. Yes. Yes. That was very exciting for me. It really was, because Red Sonja, this is a figure that I have been waiting for forever. Now, I just recently did the video where I talked about Tyrus Flare, and that's another video, another character that I've waited for years. I love, if you haven't noticed, I like things like Conan the Barbarian and this type of motif, so I really love the warrior woman type of thing. And if there was a figure like this, a high-end, really cool figure like this that was say, Xena, you better believe I'd be all over that. But let's check this out real quick. This is the Red Sonja figure right here, and I believe we've talked about this in a previous video, but since we're going over all these things, I'm going to do this again. This figure looks fantastic, and I've heard that these pictures don't do it justice. I've heard that these first wave of images came out and showcased the figure, and then evidently there was some backlash against the figure. Some stuff came out and said, hey, this isn't right, yada, yada. And I guess they went back in and redid the figure and fixed certain things about her. So she's actually going to be even better than this when we get her, from what I'm hearing. And these are the 3 figures in this line, which that was something else that I want to cover when we're doing this talk right here anyway, because there is another figure I honestly considered. I thought about Vampirella. I really did. I really, truly considered it. This is a figure right here that I can't wait to show up. Like, getting the email today, it really helped me push past the rest of my day. Because my day, it is what it is. You guys understand, we all have to work. And, I was getting... the last couple days have been really, really rough for me. But this is really cool, and it caught my attention a lot. And I had to get it. Now, this is the Vampirella that I saw that I also thought was pretty high-end, pretty cool. These figures, this company, seems like it's about to put out some really, really solid work. And you don't see figures like this. It just simply doesn't happen. Red Sonja, Tyrus Flare, this isn't the company that does Tyrus Flare, but you get the idea. Tyrus Flare, Vampirella. Vampirella is one of those things. The reason I'm really considering putting the money down for a Vampirella is that she was the first time I ever saw a truly edgy comic. I used to get, years ago, in fact, let me go back. We're gonna bring this camera up real quick so we can talk for a second. We're gonna get real talk, and I gotta get my face so we can do some real talking. Anyways, when I was a kid, I used to read Wizard magazine. And that was like one of my favorite things ever because it would show me all this stuff that I just really didn't know, like how vast comic books really were. When I was coming up, you would pick up a Spider-Man comic or whatever, and that was it. You were like, I got Spider-Man, and you kind of knew things from Spider-Man, and then you would get into Superman and Batman. You would get into like Captain America, things of that nature, and before you knew it, you were like, X-Men is cool, and things like that. But aside from the two big companies, comic books were like this thing that you didn't really branch out. If you started in one place, you just didn't do it. And case in point, I still see it today. There are people that only read superhero comic books and have read superhero comic books since they were like 12, and that's it. They're like, I know guys that hit the comic book store right now that are in their 50s that are still buying superhero comics, and it's the only thing they read. Because that's it. That's how they view the comic book industry. I used to love Wizard because it would show me things that I simply didn't know. And one night, I bought a Wizard magazine. I used to help my grandmother with her grocery shopping stuff, and I would help her carry out the groceries and yada yada. And if I went there and I carried the stuff she couldn't carry and kind of helped her and unloaded the car and things like that, I would get a magazine or a comic book. Well, whenever there was a new issue of Wizard, which I only spent about 2 or 3 months at a time at my grandmother's, so oftentimes I would only get about 2 or 3 of these books a year, and then I would have to like find them if I wanted to get more of them. And sometimes that would help. I had a buddy I grew up with. His name was Sean, and sometimes he would get his hands on the latest issue, and then he would read it, and he would be like, check this out, and then we'd read it together. But this one time, I bought a Wizard, and it had a cover of Vampirella. And my grandma didn't care. She was like, yeah, here you go. So it was like no big deal. But I read the comic book. There was a comic book that came with it, like a little Vampirella comic book. And I remember reading it, and it was like this really dark, hard thing where like she was an actual vampire and yada. And like at the end of it, I remember her like, she kind of like, she had like, it's in my mind. I seem to remember a bathtub and blood, and her basically like, I remember this thing about like where she put her hair back or something like that for a moment. Like there was this blood all over her, and she was like really dark and crazy. And I remember reading it and being like, what is this? What? I've never seen this before. And then I remember wondering if there was like, is that like a superhero thing? Does this person appear in? No, it does not. It does not appear in other superhero comics. But it was a good question at the time because I really didn't know, and it blew me away to even see this. So I do read Vampirella comics here and there. I really do. It's not too often that I've picked a new one up, especially recently. But I do have a history with Vampirella, and I think the entire last full series run of Vampirella I read from start to finish. So I was lucky enough to catch it right when it was on like book 3, and my comic shop had the other 2 still sitting on the shelf. So I got all 3 of them and said, "Sign me up to that. I want to dive in for once. I want to see this whole thing. I want to see it from an adult perspective and see how it changes me and things like that. See how it changes my mind about certain things." And so I read it, and I was really truly impressed. And I see her, and I think to myself, all 3 of these figures are coming out right now. There's going to be Red Sonja. That's the one I want. But the very idea that Vampirella is going to be part of this, and I've seen her, I seem to remember reading her in something, but I cannot remember for the life of me what it was. And because I can't remember what it was, I'm not just going to buy a random figure. I'm very much a character-by-character basis. It has to mean something to me in a significant way. It has to say something on a personal level, or it has to be very specifically a character that made me something. And this is one of those characters that ties back into a part of my general childhood history and then kind of followed me into my adulthood. And you could say whatever you want. I know I don't really have female viewers on this channel. I'll just go ahead and say that right now. I see the analytics, and it's very rare that any women like follow me. But regardless, this is actually kind of left over a little bit from, I like this kind of stuff, okay? I like sexy women. I know that shocks you. But no, really, I remember years ago, I went to Bike Week with my mom, and I saw these couple shirts that were pretty cool. I was in Florida at the time. And I remember saying, hey, there's this one that I really like. And it was gray, and it had like these roses that went down, like the sleeves and everything like that. And then like it had all these cool like roses that were intertangled and all these vines, like vines and whatnot, whatever you call them. And I remember saying, oh man, that shirt is awesome. And then there was another one, which was almost the same thing, but it had like a, super bikini lady basically on the front. And I remember thinking to myself, I don't really care. And funny enough, I asked my mom, I want to get one of these shirts. I didn't have any money at the time. She was going to get me one. And because I remember that's why we went in there in the first place. And she was like, we got to get you something to wear for Bike Week. And then when I said I wanted the gray one, Mom was like, you need that one. And she picked out the black one that basically had a woman wearing almost exactly what Vampirella right here is wearing. And like, I don't know, it was almost like a weird moment where it somehow all of a sudden became acceptable to just express myself and say, hey, I like things like Elvira. I like things like Vampirella. And you know what? I'm not ashamed to like some of the things that I like. And it was weird, but this really was an odd stepping stone for me in my life that finally said, who cares? You're not hurting anybody. And all of a sudden it was like, with my mom's odd-handed approval, all of a sudden I was like, I like Red Sonja, I like Conan the Barbarian, I like these things, and of course I've explained many times why I like Conan the Barbarian and the barbarian nature, and it doesn't have to do with sex appeal. The skin quality actually is visceral, and it makes everything that they do bigger and bigger and bigger. In fact, we had recently a thing over on Fandom Night where we've been doing random folders trying to catch up with, we've been trying to catch that show up and kind of finish it off so we can kind of boot into a more stable run and kind of test out some ideas that we've had. Well, we talked about Conan the Barbarian, and I talked about it again, that part of the reason I like it is because of that nature, that it's important to show the body because it creates a more visceral expression of everything that's happening. Well, also, this right here is an exclusive that they got. So it's Vampirella, and she's got the black costume, which is kind of cool. I'm kind of digging the fact that she got the blood hands and like the crazy face, because that does kind of tie back into what I remember when I was a kid. Like I'm telling you, I remember seeing something kind of like that, just this really visceral moment with all the blood and everything like that. But if I was to get one of these, realistically, I'd get the other one. Am I going to? I don't necessarily know that I'm going to. But that's what I would do. I would definitely get the red. The black one is cool. It's a neat variant. It's neat that it's an exclusive. But if I was to do this, I would definitely get the red one. Now, so we've talked about Red Sonja. That's an item that I have on the way. And let's talk about a couple more. So specifically, I have 4 pre-orders that are not processed at all. The Red Sonja is being processed, so that's fair, I guess. There's 3 more that I have from Big Bad Toy Store, which are not processed in any way whatsoever. Now, this one says second quarter, but it said, just like Red Sonja, it said end of the year, or rather, it was supposed to be the first quarter of this year. And both of these got kicked back. So the statue got kicked back and Red Sonja got kicked back. Now, Red Sonja is being processed, as far as I'm aware. That's what the email they gave me said. This, however, is not currently being processed at all. But boy, is it cool. This, I said to myself, I had some extra spending money. And I really did. I'd done a couple days of overtime, and I got some spending money, and I said, I want something Masters of the Universe, but I want it to be a big deal. I want a big deal Masters of the Universe, best, highest quality item I can possibly afford at the time. And yes, highest quality item I can afford. I'm a big spender, $150. But really, this is a big deal to me. I got to looking around and I saw some other statues that I could afford. I had about $250 that I could put down if I wanted. But as I looked through, I missed the one I wanted. I wanted the Tila statue. It looked fantastic, but I passed on it. It was going up in price like crazy because it had already released and people that already had it were trying to sell it for like ridiculous money. But this hadn't come out yet. And I got to looking at the stairs and all those individual wings and just oh my God. The sculpt on this looks like it's going to be unbelievable. This is something I am really, really looking forward to. This picture does not do it justice at all. It's very fuzzy on Big Bad. I don't know why their pictures are not higher quality, but regardless, they're not. I don't know why. But yeah, this looks like it's going to be absolutely unbelievable. This is going to be one of my absolute favorite items once I get it and get it on the shelf. Like, it really will. There's no doubt in my mind this will be one of my favorite items on the shelf. So that's still pre-ordered, and I don't have it yet, of course, but here's crossing my fingers that they send me an email for this one soon, because second quarter, right? I mean, yeah. Okay, the next item is August of 2023. That is Snake Mountain, and we did an entire video on Snake Mountain because of course we did, and I'm very much looking forward to this, but I'm looking forward to this for the same reason. It's Motu. Yeah, and like I said, we already covered this. We talked about it and everything in depth on the other videos, so I can really just reference you to that video if you really want to see what I have to say about it. But this is going to be cool, and I'm really looking forward to being able to put this alongside my other playsets in general. Now, last, on Big Bad, I put Taki on pre-order. When I got Tyrus Flare, I opened it, I looked it over, I checked it out, and when I was done, I said, damn it, they got me. They got me. This is fantastic. And I did an entire video talking about her too, and like, she's been my absolute favorite Soul Calibur character since Soul Calibur 2. Like, she's just fantastic. She really is. And I don't mean because ninja and super tight clothing. I explained all that. She's the character that I picked. I picked a lot of characters when I was first starting that game, and the two that I seemed to do really well with was Taki and Maxi. And I think it's because I'm more of a speed character. I like to get in, be agile, make hits, get out, and control the flow of the fight through combos and things of that nature. I like to be fairly defensive, but my defense is more of an agile movement, staying away, side-scrolling, dodging, getting in on you, getting away from you, making some of your reach a little bit irrelevant, things like that, and kind of counteracting your power. Does it cost me? Am I a pro at fighting games? No, but I'm pretty good. And with Taki in Soul Calibur 3, I was unbeatable. Like, I was almost completely, literally untouchable. I was very, very good. And because of that, like, the idea that they're selling a Taki, and I bought Tyrus, and Tyrus was fantastic, they got me on this. They got me on this. So, relatively, I'm about $250 in. I guess then if you want to count the... If you want to count also, because the way Big Bad handles it is that's the reason I got to be real careful. You got to be careful. Make sure that you get your money and set it to the side before you do anything. Because Big Bad, if you've never shopped on Big Bad, and I've got some people here that are just really starting to get into this collecting hobby, and some that aren't very huge into it, and some that really just don't know. And I've got a couple personal friends that are interested in stuff like this, but haven't really pulled the trigger on things. And I've got one buddy, one of my really good friends, is starting on things with the Rangers, specifically Power Rangers. He's starting to get helmets and very specific figures that he wants. And he came to Big Bad, and because he saw that I got a couple things from them, and so far I like their flat rate, I like their box of loot, and I really like their... I've never received an item from Big Bad that was anywhere close to damaged. It's always a really good, and that's standard, by the way. I'm not even talking about, swinging for the fences and clicking the best shipping I can get. Just their standard shipping may take a minute, but I've never received an item that was in bad condition ever. Not even close. And I got to hand it to them because, boy, have I received some crap from Amazon. But if we get technical here, if we have to get a little bit technical, if we have to say, how much am I in? How much have I buried myself realistically? Well, Taki's about 100, and then we got it's relatively 89 for the. And then the statue's like 160 relatively. It's like $350. All of that is actually paid for already. But if you get things from this, if you get things from Big Bad, they don't charge you until they process. So if you put too much and you're not thinking about it and you don't have the money already put to the side, you could get slammed playing the Big Bad pre-order game. Be careful. No joke. Fair warning. If you put like 6 items and you're thinking, well, this one's the first quarter, this one's the second quarter, these 2 are going to be the third quarter, this is the fourth quarter, this one's already on its way right now, I don't got to worry about nothing, I got the money. Keep your eye on that, because Big Bad has a habit, and it's not really their fault. It's actually a lot of the toy industry. Toys don't really have street dates the same that like video games do, where video games will say, this game comes out on this day, it's a launch day, come get it. Toys don't really do that. They have a wave, and it's going to happen sometime around this time. Good luck. And then sometimes it gets pushed back where like it's on its way, but we're going to move that to the second quarter. And now all of a sudden you've got 3 or 4 things sitting in the second quarter and they all hit all at once. Bam! $700 all of a sudden drops on your card and you weren't expecting it. Now you're in trouble. And this can very well happen to you. So always keep in mind what it is that you are spending, because you don't want to get hit all of a sudden. Like you just don't, okay? There are 2 items coming this weekend, however, that we've yet to discuss. And so I'm going to go bring us back here to Big Bad, and we're going to go back to Storm Collectibles here. Now, Storm Collectibles, not him. He's too big. But this and this, and not from this. I did not get these Big Bad. I found this through another vendor on Amazon, and we're going to cross our fingers that I didn't screw up. But this vendor was selling him on sale. He was on sale. He was marked down. He was like $75 as opposed to $135. I'm taking a chance here. I looked it up. I looked at all the reviews. I saw other people that have got from this guy, this Amazon vendor and whatnot, and nothing seems out of place, which makes me wonder why the prices are so astronomically different. I don't know. My best guess is that they got these in, whoever they are, and then maybe they could not get rid of them. Because it seemed like they'd been marking the price down consistently. In fact, they were marking it down so consistently that when I first found it, it was like $84. And I said, man, that's crazy good. And then I bookmarked it and kind of left. Came back the next week and it was marked down to like 79. And I said, what's happening there? So then I checked the next day and it was marked down to like 77. And I said, what is going on? And it got all the way down to 71. Then started climbing back up. And I was checking it like every day. And finally I said, you know what? I'm going to pull the trigger on this. Because worst case scenario, I get screwed. And I am out $70. And that would suck. But say I don't get screwed. And this is exactly what it says it is, which I don't see any reason that it wouldn't be. All the reviews that I read were good. Everything that I saw, and I dug deep. I was really going through them. There was a couple complaints about, I guess he'd sold one of the Tyrus, and he kept saying that one of the hands kept popping off or whatever, the hand to hold the reins of the dragon. Mine doesn't do that. Mine is absolutely perfect. She holds the reins just fine, and that hand doesn't pop off. I don't know. Every figure is sometimes different depending on when you get it, though, too. Sometimes you get a figure and you get screwed on the one that you get. That does happen. I've had it where sometimes the neck is a little funny, or like one of my legs is screwed up or whatever. But as far as I can tell, what I got is legit. I'll know when I get it. I made the mistake years ago of getting a knockoff Play Arts Kai. And now I'm going to say something that some people won't like. On a personal note, Play Arts Kai is not worth what they charge. And I'm not just talking because I bought a fake. I bought a fake and that was my fault, and then the fake was bad and it was just bad. But I've had 4 authentic Play Art Kais. And I've had 2 imitation Play Arts Kai. I had a Wolverine and I had a Wonder Woman. The Wolverine and Wonder Woman that came that were fake, they're bad. They're like really bad. They're like noticeably bad. But the ones that I got that were authentic, that were real Play Arts Kais, still on a personal note, I would tell you are not really that good. I got Lightning, I got Cloud, I got Ash, and I got Gray Fox. And they're all fine at best. And they're big. And I guess they move well, but on a personal note, I've never felt like the quality matched what I was paying, especially when you look at things like Tifa, which if I'm not mistaken, let's just, you know what? Tifa Lockhart. Can we find a Play Arts Kai right here? Okay, look. $154 for this Tifa. And the one that I would specifically want is $130 for this Tifa. And I got to admit, I'm intrigued because this is, we'll go ahead and use the term, even though I don't like this term. This is my Tifa. It is. It very much is my Tifa. I really, really loved Final Fantasy VII in general. I love a lot of Final Fantasies, to be fair. But you'll notice that if I play a Final Fantasy, I often have the martial artist on my team. And it just so happened, Tifa was the martial artist. She was, we'll go ahead and give it to her, she was a bombshell, and yeah, sure, that meant something, but let's be honest about the time. Guys, they were hard polygons. I wasn't that thrilled with the polygons of Tifa Lockhart. There were other characters in the PlayStation 1 time who looked much better than Tifa just because of polygon limitations. No, I actually tended to like her, actually. No, I really did. I enjoyed Tifa quite a bit. I thought her to be a strong female character, which I thought was a little bit rare. She didn't really play the damsel even once that I can think about in the whole game. She seemed human to me in the way that she would, we're going to use a term, man up, where she'd be like, I'm about to throw down. And then at the same time, she was human enough that she didn't have to be a super badass bitch all the time. Right after she would man up, she would turn right around and a situation would take place that would bring her emotional side out, and you would hear those emotions flow like a real person with real emotions and real depth, where Cloud was just like, I'm a badass. I don't care about nothing going on here because I'm a badass. I got this sword. I'm the best, and nothing can mess with me because I'm so much the best, and whatever. And like, I get tired of the whatever guy. I get very tired of it, okay? Now, Tifa seemed a lot more human to me. I liked her a lot. And so this Tifa right here intrigues me like crazy. But $130, which would be $134 by the time that I would actually put in and get it. And we're talking about April 2024. That's a long ways away. So it's not like I couldn't handle it and put the money back 20 at a time and get it. But like, to me, the last couple PlayArts Kais I bought, like I bought Cloud and his sword is actually like too heavy for him. And it weighs him down and like I want him to have it, but like there's only about 2 things you could do with him. It's kind of like he has the sword on the ground and or he has the sword like kind of propped on his shoulder or things like that. You can't really connect it to his back. It's just, it doesn't seem like it was what I wanted necessarily. And like then I try to move him around and whatnot and he seems really stiff. It doesn't seem like he moves the way I would like him to move. And it just bothers me. It really does. It's always bugged me. And then I got Lady Ashe from Final Fantasy XII, and the very first day that I got her, I took her out, took her sword. Her sword has this peg, her hand has a hole. I pushed it in, it's done. It broke off. Day 1, right out of the box, sword broken. And I'm like, so you guys have seen me do a lot of unboxings on this channel. I'm pretty careful with my figures. If I feel like it's too tight, I won't push it. I'll wait. I'll heat them up. I'll do the water boil trick. Whatever I got to do to kind of loosen them up and kind of pop them out and whatnot, get them moving. I don't like to push my figure in a way that's going to break it. And when I unbox something, I open it and I check everywhere for those ties, because I hate those ties for one. But I don't want to pull the figure against the tie and have it damage one of the joints. I'm careful with my figures. There is not, that I can think of, there is not one damaged figure on that shelf. I think every single figure on that shelf is in selling order. You would have no problem picking it up off the shelf and saying, crap, that's nice. You got all the parts? Here they are. And walk off with it, and that'd be that. But for some reason, my PlayArts Kai that are currently sitting down in the other room, because I got the garage and I made that up as a second collection room, because that's where I keep a lot of my stuff, like my PlayStation 2 and things like that. I go down there and I play Front Mission in the garage while I'm hanging out sometimes, or when I'm boxing in the garage. Sometimes I'll put on the PlayStation 2 or something like that, and I'll put on like an old cartoon, like the original 80s G.I. Joe or whatever, and watch that kind of like in between. And so that's a method that I've come to do over time. And the only broken figures I can think about, and they're not necessarily broken, they're just, on a personal note, I don't think they're the highest quality, or they're not worth this quality. What I'm trying to say is, Tyrus Flare, when I opened her and went over her, the Storm Collectibles, that Storm Collectibles figure is a much higher grade quality, personally speaking, than any PlayArts Kai I have ever bought. And they're priced the same. See that? Remember, Tyrus cost me $135 and she came with a dragon. And we already did the entire video talking about her. And if I'm going to pay the same amount for Tifa, 5 inches? No way. 5.30 inches tall? It's even a small Tifa. It's not even PlayArts Kai like full giant standing. This is just by Square Enix products. Is this new? Is this not PlayArts? Because if so, maybe there's an argument to be made that I'm interested. Because this is a PlayArts Kai, and we're talking $160 at this point. And PlayArts Kais are, yeah, that's about right. They're about 10 inches. Yeah, that's what I... Yes, those are the ones that I have. That's about right. And that, she looks fine, I guess, but I can already see like the way the knees, I don't know. Maybe she's fine. Maybe they've gotten a lot better. It has been a long time since I've bought one of these. But the last couple ones I simply was not thrilled in. But this This says Final Fantasy VII Bring Arts Tifa. Bring Arts. I don't know if that's a new... maybe they're making smaller versions of the Play Arts Kai, and they're calling them Bring Arts. I don't know what this is. I don't know what it is. It's possible. It's possible that it's not a Play Arts necessarily, but a new thing altogether. When I look at it, it still looks like a Play Arts figure to me. So, who knows? Maybe it's not the same monster. But at the same time, if they're 5 inches, you're looking at 5.30 inches. 5.30 inches, 2 faces, 2 pairs of hands, an alternate left hand, a stand to put it on, the Tifa figure, $130? I just, maybe you're paying for the brand. I don't know. To me, it's not worth it. And to me, I don't think that Play Arts Kai is worth the money they charge. I don't. However, these guys, and I did not pay $70 from the same vendor. I have a $50 of these guys coming. So when they get here, and I believe they'll arrive as early as tomorrow. When they get here, I will know if I screwed myself. I may have paid, because the way I seen it, with him being down to 70 and this being down to like 50, I paid the price of the price of him. So Gilea's Thunderhead, I paid the price of Gilea's Thunderhead on Big Bad. And I got Gileas and the dead frame. I'm really crossing my fingers here that I didn't make a mistake. And I think I'll do fine. But I don't know. I'm really hoping I didn't screw up. But that's an idea of the pre-orders that I have coming. I'm really looking forward to some of these pre-orders, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about toys, kind of get an episode out here, keep things fresh, keep things moving, you know. And I did want to share a couple of stories and whatnot and talk about things that are kind of running through my mind. And I have another video that I'm thinking about doing. I still have a bunch of stuff to open, to be fair. You can see it right back there. There. But there's another thing that I've been thinking is I want to talk about, I want to do another video somewhat like this where I want to talk about the 5 collection goals that I have for the year. Because I don't think anybody really talks about that ever. We just kind of like, some people have a very set thing that they do. I'd like to talk about the 5 goals that I have, like the sets I'd like to complete or the items I'd like to 100% get, like what I'd like to dedicate and kind of spend some time in. And then I'd also kind of like to talk about the 5 main collection things, like brands. You know what I'm talking about? Like Motu is something that that's a mainstay right now, is like Motu Masterverse is an absolute mainstay. But what else is an absolute mainstay? If you were to line up 20 toys in front of me, what are the 5 main things that I would buy and focus on in terms of where I am currently in my collection life? I don't know. But I'd be interested to go over it and really tag it down into how I'm thinking about stuff like that. But anyways, guys, I'm holding you here for like a half an hour hostage and whatnot. Sorry, I know my videos get long. I hope that's not too big of a deal for some people. For some people, I'm sure it is. But this is also one of those shows I tend to talk, so you can always just put me on and go do something you got to do. I don't know. It is what it is. Sorry to keep you so long, but those are the pre-orders that I have a-coming, and I'm looking forward to them. Oh, and I guess just to put it out there, there are a couple of items from Mattel Creations, if I'm being absolutely honest about this whole thing here, because I did put in and get, we're looking through the sold outs here because that's where I'll find them. I have a Grizzlor on the way that's got from this. So there's a Grizzlor on the way that's coming. I don't see it here right now. But yeah, my Grizzlor's on the way from them. That's another thing that I have pre-ordered, and of course, this is on the way as well. And I'm sure maybe I think there was like 1 or 2 other items, but regardless, not important really at this point in time. Guys, I've held you here long enough. Take care. I'm gonna get out of here. Oh, and I guess just so that I have everything covered, I know I just said I was getting out of here, but just so I have everything covered, the other items that are on pre-order that will be showing up, that we'll be talking about when I get them, they'll appear on the channel. I do have Wondar. He is on the way. I forgot all about that. We already know about Vicron. And of course, I have Eternia pre-ordered, because of course I do. So anyways, that's all of it. Now I'm really getting out of here. I'm going now. Bye.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.